Vanishing Melodies, the lost genius of Connie Converse. Today we embark on a journey through the life and mystery of one of the most mysterious figures in American music history, Connie Converse. A brilliant songwriter, ahead of her time, who faded into obscurity, leaving behind haunting melodies and unanswered questions.
A revolutionary figure in music got into her car outside her home, drove off, and was never seen again. You've probably not heard of her. Connie Converse, born in New York, started writing songs with her guitar in the early 50s, something her parents disapproved of. She moved to the West Village in the late 50s to pursue a career in music, but the industry wasn't interested. Converse eventually became disillusioned and moved to Michigan. After a troubled period in Michigan, Connie Converse was gone. There's still theories on where she went or how long she lived for, but her story fell silent for 30 years, until recordings made by her friend surfaced on New York radio in the 2000s. The recordings brought Converse the fan base she'd been searching for all those years ago, and with good reason. Connie's music is some of the first to shift American folk from political music and work songs to the personal and confessional. She essentially birthed the singer-songwriter with her sad and lovely music, predating Bob Dylan, Leonard Cohen, and Joni Mitchell.
This presentation will explore 4 essential chapters of her life: her early history, artistic career, mysterious disappearance, and lasting legacy. Through testimonies, musical analysis, and reflections, we will attempt to understand the woman behind the songs and the mystery surrounding her fate. Connie was born on August 3, 1924, in Laconia, New Hampshire. Elizabeth Eaton Connie Converse grew up in a strict Baptist household. Her upbringing was steeped in discipline, education, and religious faith. Despite her family's conservative nature, she displayed remarkable intellect and creativity from a young age. Connie excelled academically and attended Mount Holyoke College, but she abruptly left before completing her degree. Why did she abandon formal education? Was she searching for something greater than traditional academia could offer? The first signs of her rebellious spirit and artistic independence begin to emerge.
It's very subtle. It just seemed like she was a lot of things wrapped up in one person.
And where they buried her I forget, but the man in the sky isn't married yet.
Her love for literature, philosophy, and music shaped her perspectives. She soon moved to New York City, where she would develop her extraordinary songwriting talent. In the 1950s, Connie Converse lived in Greenwich Village, a haven for creative minds and emerging folk musicians. Yet, unlike her contemporaries such as Bob Dylan, Joan Baez, and Pete Seeger, she never found widespread recognition. Her songs, often melancholic and deeply introspective, told stories of love, loneliness, and existential contemplation.
I remember she took me aside one day to explain to me that in this world of music, that there was a lot of pretty unimaginative stuff.
Oh, well, I just delighted in her folk songs. And, you know, when there were parts for the two of us, we would do duets and they were so good. They were so delightful.
I'll tell you a story about Johnny McClory. That's how my story could see he was bonny, and when he looked at me, how he did glow. But just as we were gazing at each other, Johnny's brother was down in Mexico.
Tracks like One by One, Talking Like You, and Rowing Woman demonstrated her lyrical genius and profound understanding of human nature. Despite brief moments of exposure, such as performing on CBS's morning show in 1954, her music did not gain traction. Folk music was not mainstream, and her delicate compositions did not fit the booming commercial trends of the era.
See It Now with Marilyn Monroe. And finally, Two for the Money, starring Ava and Zsa Zsa Gabor.
I like them.
That's pretty good, huh?
Yes, sirree.
Because you have to do strict with the sound again.
Yes,
I'm very ashamed because I think that maybe mothers and kids that watching think that this is the way I drink. But it's a sound man who has nothing else to do. We must find something for him to do, yes.
Oh, you're annoying.
I think it's magic time here. Where's Poopy?
Disillusioned, Connie left New York and pursued a choir life in Ann Arbor, Michigan, working as an editor and researcher. The mysterious disappearance. By the 1970s, Connie Converse had fallen into a deep depression. She felt that she had failed as an artist and had little impact on the world. In August 1974, at the age of 50, she wrote a series of farewell letters to her close friends and family. The letters revealed her growing despair and detachment from life. She packed her belongings into her Volkswagen Beetle and drove away, never to be seen again.
We were horrified. I was horrified, partly because I really believed she was going to do herself in. I mean, you know, she had this patter in these letters about going somewhere else and finding me. And I didn't believe that for a minute. I suspect I was less convinced by the letter than probably most of the other people who got it. There was a sort of, the letters I've seen all have one sort of thing in common, which in effect is her need to get away to a new place and a new start, and that's what she was headed for as she drove out of Ann Arbor.
My parents really did wrestle with the question of whether it was even legitimate to chase after her, because there's this question of if so, and they were told this by somebody, or I'm muddling memories. I think the private detective may have told this to my uncle, but somebody who dealt with missing person cases all the time said, you know, you can be missing if you want to, and there's nothing that says that missing people have to be found, and if you reach out to a missing person and find them and they say they don't want to be found, then you have to back off, because everybody has the right to pick up and go somewhere else. And so I think my parents didn't try as hard to find her as you might think they would have, in part out of respect for her choices. I mean, whatever else was going on, she made a very deliberate choice to leave.
Yeah, she left town in her VW Bug. And that's why, you know, we've always been puzzled by how she got rid of the car. I've always felt that she drove it into some water.
Yeah, well, that's my theory too. She once had me drive considerably out of our way because she wanted what the French call Finistère, these little strips of land that go out into large bodies of water. The end of the earth is what it means.
Yeah, Land's End.
Her disappearance remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in music history.
Now the olive
heard it. I think that's what you were doing.
What?
The It's Not an Alto or
But there was another verse, I remember it.
Was it a planned suicide? Did she attempt to start a new life under a different identity? Or did something more sinister occur? No traces of her whereabouts were ever found. Her case remains open, a haunting puzzle in the annals of missing person cases. Decades passed, and Connie Converse was nearly forgotten until the early 2000s, when musician Gene Deitch, who had recorded her songs in the 1950s, shared them with a music historian.
I first heard Connie Converse, it must have been in 2003, because that was when Gene Deitch's, a book of Gene Deitch's cartoons that he made in the 50s for a record magazine. That book was published by Fantagraphics in 2003, and that's what brought Gene Deitch to my show. Gene Deitch and his son Kim came on Spinning on Air, my WNYC show, to talk about that work. And Gene was really excited to have a chance to share some of the music he loves, because he's a real music fan. And at that point, he'd been living for decades in Czechoslovakia and came for a visit to New York. But he sent in advance a CDR of some of the music he wanted to share on the show. And there were Czech Dixieland bands and all sorts of crazy things that I was amused he was enthusiastic about, but didn't necessarily grab me in a visceral way. But in the midst of the Czech Dixieland bands, there was this one song, which was Connie Converse, and the song was One by One.
We go walking in the dark. We go walking out at night. And it's not as lovers go two by two, to and fro, but it's one by one.
And I was flabbergasted. You know, I was listening with half an ear to the Czech Dixieland, but when Connie Converse began, I thought, wow. And I actually wondered, what is, this song is familiar. How do I know this song? And it turns out I couldn't have, I guess.
In 2009, the album How Sad, How Lonely was released, introducing the world to her music. Suddenly, Connie's songs were celebrated for the poetic depth and emotional resonance. Today, she is considered an unsung pioneer of indie folk, influencing countless musicians. Her music has been covered and revered by modern artists, and her story remains a profound exploration of artistic struggle, mental health, and the fragile line between genius and obscurity. The woman who vanished but left her voice. Connie Converse disappeared without a trace, but her music lives on. Her story reminds us of the countless artists whose brilliance is overlooked in their time. She was a visionary ahead of her era, a woman who defied expectations, but ultimately vanished into the unknown. Was she a ghost before she became one? Or was she finally free? The mystery remains, but one truth endures. Her voice, gentle yet defiant, still sings through time. So thank you for listening about the mysterious disappearance of Connie Converse. Have a good day, guys.